Rapture.
Anybody know what this is?
It's not a shoe shop.
Nope, it's a butter churn. Yeah. And we went online and looked, and we found the name of the company, and they were in Boston. And it was made in 1890. And it has a thermometer on the end of it, and I've never seen another butter churn like that. We have 6 more butter churns. We have a barrel butter churn, it was in Eaton's, and then we have it's a cradle butter churn. You rock it back and forth. And then we have the glass daisy one and another tin daisy one. So the glass daisy one belonged to my grandparents. And when this, there was 2,500 patents of butter churns in 1890. And in 1877, a guy by the name of Theriault, a Swedish guy, invented the first cream separator. And so the Theriault company is still in business today. Okay?
That's pretty cool. Like, what would you just a texture with that?
I don't know. I don't have the foggiest idea.
Okay.
Can I add a little bit there to a butter churn?
Sure.
We had a Jersey herd, this goes back to the 50s, still milk cans, and every so often a full milk can would get mixed up with the empties, and the milk can would become sour. My mother didn't want that milk can or that butter or that milk to go to waste. She'd wash out the washing machine, put the milk can in, turn the washing machine on for half an hour, and she'd have her butter.
Butter from sour milk. So that works out okay. Butter from sour milk.
Okay, from butter to Walmart, looks like.
I'm fascinated by forgotten people. And my heart gets broken when things have to be thrown away, and when children sell and give away things that belong to their parents. And I was in the Newmarket Value Village when I saw this from a distance, and it really caught my eye. And I went over to it, and I think I paid $5.99 or $6.99 for it. And I flipped it over. I glued this is my doing. But on the back, I want to read you what it says. So you can see the handwriting. You can take a close look at the break. So on the back it says, "With love, Vi Charles, 1997, January 19th. Charles Cromwell Martin, DCM, MMCM," and then there's a signature. So you know the first thing I did when I got home was I Googled the name. I found the wife and I found the husband. The husband is Martin Charles Cromwell, and his wife bought this for him gifted him for his birthday, January 19th, 1997. Now, he passed away that year, later in the year. So I want to tell you just a little bit about him because he was part of the Queen's Own Rifles. So Charles Cromwell Martin, 1918 to 1997, became at 24 one of the youngest company sergeant majors in the history of the Queen's Own Rifles of Canada. And I get emotional saying it because this is a forgotten person. And somebody brought this to Value Village who was from his family, likely children. So I don't mean to be judgmental. Things happen for reasons they happen, but this is going to stay with me till I pass away. So he served in A Company, 1st Battalion in the D-Day invasion, June 6, 1944. Charlie Martin was one of the first of 4,123 to hit the beaches of Normandy at Bernières-sur-Mer. Charlie Martin was wounded in April 1945 in Sneek, Holland. His war was over. After a full recovery, he returned to Canada and lived very happily with his war bride, Vi, who gifted this to him in '97, the year he died, and son Rick. Charlie raised his family in Mississauga and in his civilian capacity worked for the Department of Agriculture. He was a leader and a symbol of those who worked to shape a free and caring society. The passage of time will not forget Charlie Martin, a warrior, a gentleman, and citizen soldier who passed away on the 13th of October, 1997. So his wife gifted this January 19th, 1997. So he passed away October that year. For his service to Canada, Charlie Martin was awarded the Distinguished Conduct Medal and the Military Medal for Heroism. In 1994, Charlie Martin authored a battle diary from D-Day and Normandy to the Zuider, I'm not mispronouncing, Z and V. So you can buy his diary online. So I just wanted to, that's the first thing I wanted to tell you about. So whenever I buy a secondhand book, I always check the signature inside, and when I can find the obituary, I tape it inside the book, or I glue it inside the book. So I wanted to share that with you so you can take a look at that. And the other thing is it's going to look a bit more trivial to you, but it's meaningful to me, and that is my brother is 8 years older than me, and I'm 59, so my brother's 8 years older, and my older brother, we grew up in Nobleton and then later Kettleby, and it was a split-level house right in the town of Nobleton, and it was like, I don't know when it was built, but I'm guessing probably 1970, sounds about right. And my bedroom wall was right next to my brother's, and so all the music I got introduced to, and his Mad magazine collection, was the music through the wall. And when he would go away or do things, because he was older than me, like he went on a bike trip to Amsterdam with the school, things like that, I would play his records. And I would take his Mad magazines when he wasn't home, and he would get so mad. He would say to my mom, "You've got to keep her out of my room, she's going through my stuff." And I only have good memories of my brother. He's still alive, but I love him very much. And this, I don't know whatever happened to his Mad magazines, but I remember holding this one. And now that I'm an adult, and I have almost 2 PhDs in philosophy, I understand the really serious and important satire that took place. The Mad magazine came out in 1955. That was the first issue. And by the 70s, it was serious political and social satire. And feel free to pull this out and go through it. So this one, I remember my brother had this and holding it in my hand. So this is from March 75. And if you flip through it, you're going to see that it's quite political. Like really like a critique of consumerism, materialism, of politics, of corruption in politics, and all of that. So feel free to pull that out and look at that. And those are my 2 things. So. Yeah, the back page is still, you can fold the back page. You'll see it has been folded, but it's in good condition. So the whole magazine, including the fold out on the back, is in there. So.
That's great. Thanks. Okay, we have a book here.
Hi, I'm new. Some of you, I was here in September, but Cael again made me do a presentation. This book belonged to my uncle, who was the Catholic priest in Alliston and Colgan in the late 1999s, around there. And then he was the Catholic priest in Tottenham and Colgan in probably like 2015 and maybe a little bit before or after. Well, when he retired, he moved to Everett, and everybody that has ever moved and has to move books knows it's a huge problem. And when I was moving him to Everett, I was yelling at him constantly because he had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books. We had nowhere to put them. My husband was building bookshelves and stuff. So I said, "You must purge your books." And I'm a book lover. I have a lot of books. So he's like, "If you get rid of 50 books, I'll get rid of 50 books." And I'm like, oh my God, 50 books. But so I came back the next day and I'm like, how many books did you get rid of? And he got rid of 4 books. And so I'm like, I'm not getting rid of any books. Well, he passed away and we had to get rid of the books. My husband's like, don't you dare bring any books home, because I have so many books. And we gave them to lots and lots of people, bookstores. Nobody wants that many books anymore. So what I did is in Tottenham, I opened up one day and I said, anybody that ever knew my uncle that wants his books, and he had like Shakespeare books, first edition of gardening, like German books, because he spoke 12 languages. So I said, anybody that wants anything of his, come and get them. So people came, I had an open house, took the books, and then whatever was left, I swore that I was bringing them to Value Village, getting rid of them. They weren't coming in my house. So there was probably about 60 books left over, and my husband was just throwing them into boxes saying, get them out of here before Cara takes them. And as he threw this one book onto the floor, it fell and opened with this showing. It fell like this, and so I picked it up and I said, oh, this book is, somebody wrote in it. Well, as I went to read it, it says, wishing you best, with best wishes for you in the new year, from William Mackenzie King, Laurier House, Orleans, Christmas Day, 1927. So I was like, and this book is written by, it's called The Message of the Carillion by Mackenzie King. So I was so excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. My daughter is majoring in history at the University of Carleton, and she has used this book and gotten an A+ on the paper because she referenced it and then put in that it's signed and stuff. But there was another cool thing that was in the book, and it fell out at the same time, and it's an invitation to the Ontario Women's Liberal Association Bon Voyage Tea in honor of Mrs. Peter Heenan on Friday, April 16th, 1937, from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock at the King Edward Hotel. And it says it's 50 cents for them to go. So when I looked up like who all these people were, I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, because it's Honorable Peter Heenan is the Ontario's official representative to the coronation. So it just so happened that this all fell out on the floor, so I was grabbing them, and then I'm like, what did we give away? What other books are in there that I gave away that were signed? So I started going through the few books that were left, and there was a few that were signed by like just people like Philip and stuff like that, and he used to be a professor at different universities. So I was like, I gave books away, and I started calling people that took books, and I'm like, did you get anything really cool? And everybody, one person said they did, but they won't tell me, so I'm just wondering what was in there. So I just think it's really neat that I just happened to come across this, and it's actually signed by one of our prime ministers.
Did you have to give up another book in order to put that one in your collection?
Well, how am I gonna get that? She won't give it back to me, so.
No, I mean,
You had to give up one of your
is the
books.
family rule, give up one book for each new book you buy?
Well, that was his rule and my rule, like we did that. I just moved in July, and I probably gave away 9 boxes of books, and I gave some to Cael, and then at my birthday I'm like, can I have those books back? And she gave them back to me because I gave them away, and then it really hurt me that I gave some books, and they were signed by people, and then she gave them back to me. She said, happy birthday. And I'm like, sorry. And she had already wrote, in the library of Cael, and I'm like, no, but they're back in my possession, so it's really hard to get rid of books, but I'm super happy that I found this, and it just fell on the floor because my husband was throwing them and saying, get rid of the books, don't bring them in the house, and yeah, I'm just sad about what other books I gave away.
I guess he doesn't say that anymore.
Well,
No, he
he's
still
the one
does.
that had to carry the books when we moved. So he's a book lover as well, but yeah, he had to carry them like down the stairs and then up the stairs when we were moving, and it was a lot of books. So he's like, as much as you love books, if you have to move them, then you hate the books, right? So, but if you want to take a look, yeah, it's signed. There must have been another message in it because there's a part cut off, so I think it was probably like to whoever it was. And then he ripped that out, but I think it's really neat. And I love that my daughter used this book and got an A+ in university for one of her Canadian history classes.
That's great. got this upside down. Okay, Lily.
It's a map. The only reason I brought it over here, look it upside down. Nova Scotia's painted it blue. So that's not why I bought it. I've been looking for one for about 20 years. Anyway,
Louis, could you move a little bit more to the center so we can all see it? Thank you.
100 years in April is when Nova Scotia was ordered by the township to start driving on the right-hand side. The 9th province and the last one. You know, what happened, they sent the governor from England to Nova Scotia because nobody was watching it. So in 1700, what's his name, Cornwallis, they sent him to Nova Scotia, Halifax, and 2 years later he sent a telegram to England saying he can't cover Nova Scotia. So send another governor. Well, they send another one. So Cornwallis sent him out to Amherst. He says, you cross Amherst, and that's Nova Scotia on both sides. You have that side for yourself. Okay, so he called it New Brunswick. So he did 2 years. He sent a telegram to England. It took 3 months to get an answer. So they sent another governor, and this one went to New Brunswick, and he said to the new guy, that's yours over there, PEI. So now it's divided in 3. So that's why it's blue. It says Nova Scotia all across it. You won't find any more maps like this one. Now these maps, over here there's a black line there. Now it says probably Russia, probably. They had not been there, so what part of Russia would be on this side of the map?
And be there and straight there, somebody's seen it.
Alaska.
Yeah,
Alaska was Russian.
Alaska.
Sewell's Icebox.
Aleutian Islands,
Well, of course, Alaska was bought.
but the Americans,
Yes.
yeah. What was,
30
it was
beats.
that, around 50 somewhere?
And again now, and I forget the amount of money, but it wasn't a lot of
It
money.
was
Well,
called
50
Sewell's
beats.
Icebox.
50 green beans.
See, nobody wanted Alaska, it was too far north.
still
Canada
don't.
had enough.
What's the date of the map?
Well, this was done for centennial around 1970. So what happened when these people, like, I'll give you an example. There's a map, you ever watch the Antique Roadshow? Well, there was a map, it was worth $40,000 because California was an island. The guy went around somehow and he didn't notice it wasn't an island. Anyway, maps are, what's the difference between Atlantic province and Maritime province?
Newfoundland.
No,
No?
well, yeah. When it joined Canada, it came Atlantic province. Before that, it was Maritime. Anyway, what happened in these days, somebody would go out with a sailboat and he'd mark a piece of land, send it back to different where it came from. And some guys would go to each country and get the maps, and they would make their own maps. That was a problem. That's why these are all out of whack.
Look at the shape of Hudson Bay.
Yeah. Over here, they don't know what's over here. You've got New Mexico. Well, New Mexico, that's not that very old. You know, it's not. Anyway, it's a very interesting map. It names all the natives, tribes, all of them. But who made this one, the last one, I don't know. And you can send to Ottawa, they send you a booklet of all the maps they have. And you wouldn't believe how many they have. So if you want to check an area, Ottawa will have it. The blue here, and here Louisiana, was French, from France. That's why it's still blue. Anyway, a lot of stories behind this one.
So we have this, this crate here.
Oranges.
Okay, what?
Well, the problem is Louis and I spent a lot of time at Wilson's Hill, so I thought we'd plant some orange trees. So,
We have to talk about it.
plant some orange trees, but anyway, that's not actually, that's the joke of it. This is from Wilson's Hill, and this is it's a dangle or a drop, and they're on the, as he knows, in the back corner, on all the railings, and so then the chains run between the posts, and then they loop, and in the middle, they loop the dangles go on there. Now, last year I worked with David, 2 summers ago I worked with David at Old Kirk. Now, Old Kirk has almost a complete number of these dangles on the plots with the railings, but we needed some more. So David very kindly went down to a place where he had some stuff cast for his automobile, and so these have been cast in aluminum, and so we're going to put, there's about 30, I'm painting them several coats of paint so they last quite a long time, and then I'm making the hooks. So to make the hooks I had to make a tool to make the hooks, and that's of course the iron rods that go between, you know, around the railings. So next spring these will be going on what I call tracies. The plot, the tracy restored, and all the chains are being put on, and then these will just be going in where the loops come. Luckily at Wilson's Hill we have tons of the chain, but chain is actually expensive to buy today. So anyway, that's it. So next summer you can see a lot of these drops.
So what's the purpose of those? Scaring the devil away or something?
Well, there are a lot of explanations. The bell was supposed to, could have scared the devil away, or well, there was explanations, and then there's of course the earlier explanation of the bells which were connected down to the coffins years ago, when sometimes years ago a person was buried, they were alive, and then you could ring the bell. That's part of it. This is, of course, a Theriault, so we'll assume that's more Scottish, but I've only ever seen this one, and I want to get some more cast to that company, get some the thistles cast, but I've only seen the 3, the thistle and then the two bells. So
does the bell have a clapper?
no, actually this one is the original. No, this one they didn't fill. The other aluminum ones, the company, they filled them. They never had clappers. No, they just, it's more symbolic. I
It would
mean,
be great if they did.
Especially if you're buried alive and it's not ringing.
so Louis and I got a job next summer of doing, and Tracy, getting these chains, all the chains on, and putting, and we're almost 95% done at
Excellent.
Wilson's Hill.
Where is somebody going up there
I
and
just
taking them all
I
down?
took 3 more cemeteries on.
Where is Wilson's Hill? What is it, the 12th?
12th and 27th.
12th line.
Highway 27, just below Cookstown on number 12.
And which
side it,
It's the southeast
Southeast corner.
corner.
It's,
It's right on the corner, but it's a big,
Yeah.
steep hill.
And it's kind of fun because you go there and you're on the road, you don't see anything. But you have to get out of your car and you gotta go in, there's a visitor's book, and then you gotta climb up the hill to find the tombstones. Because people say, there's no cemetery there, there's no tombstones on the bottom. No, they're on the top. Yeah, I know.
I'm just wondering if I missed anything here? Anybody else bring some stuff?
What's the navy blue bag on the back?
Navy, this here?
Yeah, is that?
That's what the projector came in. I can show you that. There you go. Okay, thanks for everybody bringing stuff. I suspect our president would like to say something.